What's happening, my fellow Cronians? Welcome back to another LolCow TCG deck building video, and in this one, we're going to be doing my instant win deck build. For those who want to skip the explanation of the cards and just want to see which ones I choose, I'll throw up a timestamp on screen so you can skip to that. Anywho, let's go ahead and get right into it. You know how we do it. We start off with the 5 cards that were limited to only 1 per deck, that being the Pot of Mead, Server Outage, Pickle Quest, Happy Thanksgiving, and Raxmas Arrives. And moving on into our trickery cards, we are going to be taking the maximum of these cards that we can, being 2, the Vitamin CWC. And just below our Vitamin CWC, we're going to be taking 3 Raxian Rages, 3 Duwas, and to finish the trickery cards off, 2 Project Goat Wires. Moving into our magic cards, we are going to be taking 3 Blow the Bullhorns, as well as 3 Conway Chili Slobs. For our trap cards, we are going to be taking 2 Disorder in the Courts, as well as a new card that I haven't covered, 2 Troll Waves. And last but not least, for our dens, we will be taking 2 Clock Tower Dream Houses. So before we move into our character cards, I just want to explain the theme behind this deck. Of course, that being instant win. So what we are going for are cards that within their abilities allow an instant win in the game. So after we're done choosing our cards, I'll go over them and explain how that will be possible. So to start us off, we're going to be taking 2 of the Holy One with a really long name. Moving on over to our LolCow Live St. Patrick's Day cards, we are going to be taking 2 Lucky Keemstars, 3 Lucky Becky Boops, 2 Lucky Wings of Redemption, and 2 Lucky Xylies. Moving into our LolCow Live Season 1 cards, we will be taking 2 Wings of Redemption, 2 Keemstars, 2 Boogie to 988s, and 1 LolCow Live Season 1 cast. Now we're moving into another set based off of LolCow Live, the New Year's cards. So from these, we will be taking 2 Keemler Elves, and 2 Santa Wings. And a card that isn't technically an instant win, but it could be very devastating to allow pretty much an instant win. We're going to be taking 3 of the CW Chan Savior and Creators. And moving on into our last couple LolCow cards that we will be taking with us. Starting off, we have 3 Homeless Mustard, 2 Boog Irons, and 2 Airsoft Chungus. This is a pretty hefty deck, so let's go ahead and get started going over each card. First up, of course, we have the Pot of Mead, which we can draw 2 cards and then ban it. Server Outage, which scraps all characters on all players' fields. Pickle Quest, which allows us to search for any card and add it to our hand, then shuffle our deck. A super powerful card, Happy Thanksgiving. We can whistle loudly and place all LolCow type characters from our scrap pile straight back onto the field without paying that tape cost, besides the 8 tapes that it takes for the card itself. And last but not least for our limited cards, the Raxmas Arrives, which we can draw 3 cards, gain 50 life points, deal 50 damage to any player, and scrap a target character on our opponent's side of the field. Moving into our trickery cards, we have the Vitamin CWC, and I'll explain this one so I don't have to any further. Whenever we see an X, that means however many tapes we would like to pay for that card. So for the abilities of this card, we can draw X amount of cards, lose 25 life points for each card drawn, or we can deal damage to the target character den equal to 20 times that many that we pay. Next up, we have the Raxian Rage, a very good card. We can pay 1 tape to deal 50 damage to any target, or we can pay an additional 5 tapes to do 100 damage instead. So 1 tape for 50, or 6 tapes for 100. And lastly, coming in for our trickery cards, we have the Project Goat Wire, which you can call this card out. Create a goat token on your field with dash, 40 attack, and 10 health. If that token dies, then you create another copy of that token until the end of your outro. And coming in for our trap cards, we have the Troll Wave. Of course, just like the Disorder in the Court, we can only activate this when an opponent declares a beatdown. So what this card does is that we can scrap that target character when it declares a beatdown, and our opponent creates 3 troll tokens with 10 attack and 10 health on their side of the field. And those troll tokens stay there until they are wiped out by another character. They do not get scrapped at the end of that outro. And speaking of Disorder in the Court, that's the one we have up next, which prevents all damage that a character deals that turn. Moving into our magic cards, we have the Below the Bullhorn. And with this, we can make a bullhorn sound, then search our deck for a LolCow with a tape cost of 3 or less, and place it on our side of the field in the spun position, then shuffle our deck. This card could be very useful to us, seeing as the character cards that we have for this deck will become very useful to help us get that instant win. And next up we have the Conway Chili Slot Massacre, and with this we scrap all non-Chungus type characters on the field, which is pretty good for us because we're actually using a couple Chungus characters. Moving on to our last trickery card, we have
Do
Dua.
what?
Of course, we say Dua and negate any card that our opponent plays from their hand and send it straight to their scrap pile. And for our den, we have the Clock Tower Dreamhouse. With this, all of our LolCows that we control have plus 30 health while it's on the field. And of course, our deck is based on LolCow, so this will be very useful to us. Moving on into our instant win character cards. We're going to be starting off with the Holy One with a really long name. When you play this character, your opponent must bow their head to you. If they do not, they lose the game. And also, once during your turn, you may say a prayer and draw 5 cards. So of course, this is a very powerful ability, hence why it is a 10 tape cost card. So this won't be played until late game. But if your opponent does bow their head, this stays in play, and with the stats, it is a very, very good card, coming in with 140 and 250. Moving on to our instant win St. Patrick card, we are starting off with the Lucky Keemstar. This has dash on it, which means that he's unaffected by lag. And in his ability, if we have 7 different characters in our hand with Lucky in their name, we instantly win the game. So not on the field, but in our hand. And we'll go over the other Lucky characters right now. So next up, we have the Lucky Becky Boop. She has Stalker on her, which means that we can play her both on our turn or during our opponent's turn. And when this enters the field, you flip a coin. If you win the flip, you search your deck for a character with Lucky in its name and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So of course, going back to that Keemstar card, if we have 7 different characters with Lucky in their name in our hand, we win the game. So this ability is going to help us greatly do that. And each of these cards has the same ability, so I won't be repeating the ability for each card that we go over from this set. But I still will be going over their keyword abilities. Next up, we have the Lucky Wings of Redemption, and he has Overrun on him. And what this means is that if a character intercepts when we declare a beatdown with this card, if the damage takes out that card and still has extra damage left over, it will still damage the card that we originally intended to declare a beatdown on. And next up we have Lucky Xylee, and she has Cheap Shot with her. And with Cheap Shot, this means that whenever we declare a beatdown, we can actually damage another card during the beatdown without receiving any damage back. Moving into our LolCow Live Season 1 cards, we have the LolCow Live Season 1 cast, and with this card, we can only play it if we control 3 different characters with Wings, Boog, or Keem in their name. If this card is on the field and we do not, then we scrap it. As well with this card, at the start of our next intro, we instantly win the game. But on the other hand, if it is scrapped, we instantly lose the game. So let's say that we have a Wings, Boogie, and Keem card out on the field. That is when we would play this card. But the only drawback is that our opponent will still be allowed to call beatdowns. So we have to make sure that we keep those 3 character cards with Wings, Boog, and Keem in their name alive, so that at the start of our next intro we win the game. Otherwise, we instantly lose. Moving into those cards that will help us out with that, we're starting off with the Wings of Redemption. And this is the only card with Recluse on it, which Recluse means that characters cannot declare beatdowns, but we are still allowed to intercept. And when Wings enters the field, we can ban a target troll type character or draw 1 card. Next we have Boogie 2988. This card gains Immortal if we control a character with Keem in its name, so not in our hand but out on the field. And instead of attacking with this guy, we can spin him to ban it and draw 2 cards. And lastly, coming in from our Season 1 cards, we have the Keemstar card. When this enters the field, we can return a target character from our scrap pile to our hand. If that target has Wings or Boog in its name, we can place it on the field instead without having to pay their tape cost again. And coming up next, we have the LolCow Live New Year's cards, and we're starting off with the Keemler Elf. So once per turn, we can scrap a card from our hand to give our opponent a piece of coal. And our opponent loses 20 life points at the start of every intro for every coal counter that they have while this is on the field. So throughout the game, we can continuously scrap cards from our hand that we may not want and add a counter to our opponent as long as this stays on the field. So we can just rack up that free damage just by scrapping cards. And of course, it would also help out our Season 1 cards, so that way we can use that LolCow Live Season 1 cast to instantly win that game. And lastly, for our New Year's cards, we have the Santa Wings, and any character that this defeats in a beatdown is added to a naughty list. When there are 5 different names on the naughty list, we instantly win the game. Of course, this is another instant win card, which of course, again, not only helps our LolCow Live Season 1 cast card, but also has an instant win ability within itself, with the one drawback being that even though we may have more than one of these on the field, in order to add their name to a list, that specific card has to take it out. So the list of names can't be shared even though you may have 2 or 3 on the field. And lastly, coming in for a sorta kinda instant win, we have the CW Chan Savior and Creator, and with this, we can ban this card from our hand and pay X to create that many Sonichu tokens with 20 attack, 20 health, and dash, and this effect can only be used on our turn. So let's say that we have 7 tapes, we can use all 7 of those tapes to ban this card and create 7 of those Sonichu tokens, which could gain you complete control of the playing field. And moving on to our last couple of character cards, we have the Airsoft Chungus, and when this enters the field, of course, we just instantly gain 100 life points since we don't do the other effect, which is the main reason why we are bringing this card. The Bug Iron Gunslinger, a card with a fantastic ability. Once per turn, we can say pew pew to negate a beatdown from any opponent. A very useful card. And last but not least, we have the Homeless Mustard, of course, another card which gains us some life points. When this enters the field, we say you hit my bike to instantly gain 30 life points. Just a personal favorite card that I always like to run. So with our Chili Slop, it pairs well with our Airsoft Chungus, Santa Wings, Boogie 2988, Wings of Redemption, and our Lucky Wings of Redemption. Our Blow the Bullhorns, of course, can be used to help us bring out, again, our Airsoft Chungus for that extra life points if we're low, a Boogie 2988, or Wings of Redemption if we already have a LolCow Live Season 1 out on the field, or a Lucky Becky Boop if we need that one last lucky card to get that game win. And of course, if a bunch of our characters get killed off, bringing them back with a happy Thanksgiving could be very helpful to, again, get us that instant win. And here is just one last quick overhead view. This deck requires more of a strategic approach rather than a battling approach. So have fun with it, and I'll see you in TTS. Later!